Welcome to Talks with Tracy, with certified hypnotherapist, life coach, and licensed mental health professional, Tracy Claremont. Tracy will share her healing journey and explore the many meaningful alternative healing methods in our world today that will support you in doing your own deepest emotional healing. So please welcome the host of Talks with Tracy, Tracy Claremont. Let the suffering end and the healing begin.
Hello and welcome to Talks with Tracy. I am your host, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on the Bold Brave Television Network. This is show number 4. I'm so excited to be here. I just want to start today by thanking Bold Brave Television Network for having me, and also start by saying congratulations to Katie Howard. I had Katie Howard on last week. She is a Reiki master and intuitive healer, and she was live on the show. She was joining us from a hospital waiting room because her daughter was there to have a baby. So since that time, they have welcomed a beautiful, healthy baby boy into their family. So I want to say congratulations. And Katie, Caleb, our engineer, says congratulations as well. And just give thanks for a moment for a healthy delivery and a beautiful baby boy. So I also want to say Katie was a great example of making it happen. You know, she did say during the show that for years she put her own wants, needs, desires aside, and she focused on family and working and paying bills and all those life things. And I think last week she did a great job of putting her own wants and desires in there and making it happen, where she was able to join the show because she wanted to while still meeting the needs of her family. So I just wanted to point that out. I really appreciated that demonstration of making her own things that she wants to do a priority as well. So thank you, Katie, for that beautiful demonstration. And again, congratulations. So today I'm so excited to have an absolutely amazing guest on. Shira Lee Mitchell will be joining us in a couple minutes. She is a spiritual adventurer, a master hand analyst, a songstress, a hypnotist, and so much more. She is absolutely amazing. I'm so happy to have her here. But first, I'd just like to take care of a little business. Now, it's my 4th show, and I haven't said hello to my little girl, Lily, so I want to do that. Hi, Lily. Thank you so much for watching. And she's so excited that her mom has a show, so I wanted to do that. Now, I'm not going to say hello to my teenage daughter because duh, I'm embarrassing. So I won't be doing that. I also want to say hello to my little friend Charlie, who is at my dear friend Martha's daycare. Now, she makes sure that this show is up and running every Thursday morning so that everybody can watch Talks with Tracy. They turn off cartoons and they put on Talks with Tracy. Now, Charlie, she is kind of the manager at Martha's daycare. Now, she's only 7 years old, but she has some mad managerial skills. I am not kidding. So thank you, Charlie, for being on top of it and having this show up and running live every Thursday. Thank you so much. All right, so today, as I said, I have the incredibly gifted and talented Shira Lee Mitchell with us. She is a spiritual adventurer, a songstress, a master hand analyst, a hypnotist, so much more. I first met Shira Lee when I was going through my transformational healing. Now, she was closely connected to the medium that I worked with, Mary Gertson. Now, Mary is no longer with us, but that's how she is who I met Shira Lee through. And Shira Lee did some hand analysis with me, and I also took a training, the introductory training to hand analysis, which was super incredibly informative, and it actually kind of was mind-blowing to me that all of this information about our soul's journey is right there in the palms of our hands and our fingers and our fingertips. It was really amazing, and it really helped me to know and be reassured that I was living my life purpose, that I was doing what I needed to do those challenges that were overwhelmingly painful and hard were meant to be, and they were there for a reason and purpose. That was very reassuring to me, and that really helped me in my own journey. I shared those. I shared my own journey in shows 1 and 2. So I'm really thankful to Shirley for all of the guidance that she provided me, and I'm so happy to have her on. She has an infinite wealth of wisdom and knowing. So as you will see, so please join me in welcoming the amazing Shirley Mitchell.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. I'm so happy to have you here. Now, one of the things I didn't mention in my brief introduction of you is that you yourself had a show at one time on Bold Brave Television Network.
I did. I had
Yeah.
journey of shows, so I think I did 24 or something like that total.
Oh, nice. And um, so now those, can you say the name of the show? And I believe they can still be found like on YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah, you can Google my name with it too, but Soul Luscious is the name of the
Mm,
soul of the show. So, like soul and the luscious, yummy goodness of soul, kind of mixing those together. So, yeah, so that was what I named the show. And I did a 24-part series. And at the time, I just felt like this messenger who was like full of information, and I needed to let
mm.
off some of the overflow. So it was a really wonderful experience for me.
Awesome. I'll have to check those out. So now I did mention some of the titles, some of the services you offer: soul adventure, master hand analyst, songstress, hypnotist. I know that you do a wealth of different things. Are there any things that I missed that you do as well? I know that you have something on Facebook.
Yeah, I have a miracles group that I hold every week, and it's a free group that anyone can join and come to learn how to make miracles. And
Mm-hmm.
I also have a number of things going on, but I'm in the process of recording an album, and that's just really exciting as I'm seeing these creations come to life. So I may be done even as soon as Christmas, but hopefully, if not by January. And it's
Oh,
turning out
wow.
really magical. It's like, fairy sounds and siren sounds and angel sounds. So, very, very fun music, deep lyrics, very authentic, I guess, and soulful. So I'm excited about that.
Mm,
Other ways that people work with me is I do soul alchemy readings, where hand analysis is one of the tools that I resource, but also my hypnotism and past life regression, life in between life regression, and my adventures with oversouls is another area of expertise that I access. And then I also have done some study into astrology and human design and numerology. So I kind of bring all of those together in a soul alchemy reading. And when I'm doing that, what I'm looking for is like, what is your soul's path, and what is it that you're really working on here? And kind of like pulling back the curtain for someone to see the bigger picture of their soul's plan. So
yes, and that's what, as I mentioned, you did for me at that time when I was going through some really painful, difficult struggles, and it really was so meaningful to me, and it was just incredibly reassuring to me that there was a, a purpose and a plan in play, right? Because sometimes when you're going, well, first off, isn't it true that a lot of the greatest challenges in your life um, are painful, right? They are extremely painful, and that's a lot of times your greatest learning, where your greatest learning lies, because none of this soulful kind of learning is easy, right? Like,
no, no, it's not easy. And I think that without the big picture of the context by which life is happening in, it's just very confusing and painful, right? And it's comforting
mm-hmm,
to understand that, oh, there's a bigger part of me that chose this experience that's much wiser than I am. I can trust this part of me
mm,
and surrender into it, right?
Right, and keep moving through it.
Yep.
That there's so many moments that I had personally where I really questioned whether or not my fulfillment, my happiness was worth it, so to speak, worth all of this pain and suffering going through the transformation and making huge changes in my life. I really questioned that along the way because it was so overwhelming and so hard that there were moments where I kind of wanted to, just go back to what was familiar and continue on in the suffering because it was familiar to me. But when I did see this larger picture and really started to develop my soul consciousness, um, it was extremely empowering to me. I'll use that word, empowering. And it really gave me what I needed to just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I remember another, like a reassurance that I was given in that moment when I was being taught about, soulful existence. I was told that, our souls, in our human form, in our personality, these things really hurt, and like other people may hurt as a result of me taking back my power and making changes. But in the grand scheme of things, from a soulful perspective, that there is no damage done. Do you understand what I mean that way? Because that's something that you taught me as well.
Yeah, so the thing about there's many different dimensions of life. We have a physical animal that is having an experience, right? That is
Hmm.
living on this planet, and we have an emotional self, and that's a different dimension. It has different needs. It has different, so when you're talking about other people's feelings getting hurt, other people's lives being disrupted,
Hmm.
you're talking about an emotional level response, right?
Hmm.
Probably died, or physically there's changes that happen, but mentally, like our identity of who we think we are, how we are connected to other people, some of that can get disrupted. But on a spiritual
Hmm.
level, we are all ultimately here for ourselves, for our own learning first and foremost, and for our own expansion first and foremost.
Hmm.
And we're also learning how to love, right? And sometimes being in situations where we're enabling people and staying stuck in bad situations isn't
Hmm.
helping anyone. It isn't serving anyone, and
Right.
yeah. So it can look, like each one. We don't spiritually bypass our pain and say, "Oh, the spiritual dimension planned this, so therefore I don't have to feel the feelings about this that are really deep and powerful."
Hmm. Yeah, it's
It's
the
those are,
opposite.
yeah, they're, we eventually personally have to reconcile all things in our matrix that have ever happened to us eventually.
Mm-hmm.
There are lifetimes that we have where all the doors open and all of the healing is complete on every level.
Yes. Wow. And so, yeah, that was another thing that I just wanted to mention because it helped me. I had been kind of stuck in my compassion for other people rather than for my own self, and that that compassion for other people made it so uh, I made choices that didn't serve me and wasn't willing to go into that area until I came to a point where I really felt like I couldn't continue on the way I was, living and existing.
Yeah, so true compassion includes you as well, right?
Right.
It
It
includes
didn't for a long
everyone.
time, but but yeah, that was one of the things that I learned from you and from Mary is that you know, I was told to do an exercise where I put all compassion for everybody else aside and just write about what I wanted for myself. And that was a pivotal moment for me because I had never thought that way. Like that wasn't a way that I had ever thought. And it was actually hard for me to do, but it was so important for me to do. And I did it and then I had the reassurance that from a soulful perspective that there would be no damage done to other people, um, on in the grand scheme, in the larger picture, like spiritual realm that you exist within and live within, and
Yeah,
talk about, well, we all do.
yeah, I mean, there is damage that is done. This is what the karmic contracts are about, right? When there
Mm,
is damage done in our relationships, and we eventually reconcile that again. Like, in other
mm-hmm.
words, we take on different forms, we take on different relationships, and we heal the damage. But sometimes, I mean, just really understanding that you're a healer personality, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have a hard time doing for you, right? Because you're all about
Mm-hmm.
others succeed, right? But for
Right.
a lot of other people, they have no other reference other than to just only do for themselves, right? Other people are different than that. No
Mm,
qualm whatsoever. If you look at most people, say, that are from certain schools of thought that we study in hand analysis, it's automatic for them to do what's right for them, and they have no qualms.
wow.
So there's a kind of like a soul, our schools of consciousness kind of indicate our soul
Right.
distortion, right? And so your
Yes, I
particular,
love that. And oh, go ahead.
yeah, so your particular one is like, you know, separating yourself from the healing, right? That's
Right,
happening.
right. That's amazing, and thank you for that. So we already have to take a commercial break. I knew this was going to happen, where we just get into things and then we have to break. So coming up, I'd love to do a segment called "Getting Naked," where you share a little bit of your own vulnerability and talk about your own struggles and suffering, and how you did some emotional healing. Because I love to share those kind of stories, and I know you're willing to do that. So I really appreciate that. So. We need to take a commercial break. You're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy. I'm Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on Bold Brave Television. I'm here with the amazing Shira Lee Mitchell. Now, I first met Shira Lee through hand analysis. She's a master hand analyst, and she did some readings on me, and she helped me understand so much from my hands. And so she's here to share some of that with us, and then also do a little bit of getting naked and talk about some of her own personal healing, emotional kind of healing that she's done in her lifetime. So take it away, Shira Lee.
Thank you, Tracy. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of history on hand analysis. My teacher, his name is Richard Unger, and he took
Mm.
everything that had been done on palmistry that he could find. He was just actually an innocent guy going through life, going to university, business school, and then all of a sudden he found a book, and the book was a book on hands, on palmistry. And so he ended up, he has a very curious personality, so it like hooked him, and he like has been in that track ever since. And he ended up really curiously looking at hands, like what are hands communicating? He looked at all the systems he could find, and he developed a system that he believed was the most accurate form of hand reading, right? And truly, what do the hands mean? What are they here for? Why are everybody's different, and why are everybody's fingerprints different, right? So he applied that all using scientific process. So he actually tested the validity of the work that he was doing. And so, yeah, so for me, my healing journey really accelerated when hands came into my life. I had heard about it. I actually had contact with two different people, and it was such a rare thing. So it just so destined for me. And I looked at the class for a lot of years. I got on a radio show in a different time zone somehow. Like, I don't even understand how it worked. I had to get a hand, and I had already had someone that had done my fingerprints before that. And so, I got into it because I was so curious about, like, what is my purpose? And if you understood my hand, purpose is as deep in my system as my connection to my body and my connection to my emotional self, right? In other words, for a lot of people, it's a lot less. They don't have a lot of a deep connection with their sense of purpose. So, and this hand analysis turned out to be something much different than what I thought. It was this deep dive of getting naked, looking at every aspect of my personality, because they're represented by archetypes, and the archetypes are when elements form and come together, right? And looking at all the subtle lines, which are my resistances to life, my major lines that represent my systems that I have inside my system, and my strategies. And so, to talk about my getting naked today, I'm going to actually share just a quick little diagram to kind of explain a little bit, so that those that are listening can follow along with what I'm talking about. So if we could share the share right now. So basically, we all have a basic personality type, which is a dimensional bias or dimensional favoritism. And then we go into here. This is how we go around navigating or solving our problems. So somehow, when we're little kids, some of us stand all day at the cupboard to get a cookie. We use our willpower. Some of us take action and get a chair and get to the cookie. Some of us organize systems to get to the cookie, right? Maybe doing a chore chart or something. Some of us use our charm and our creativity to get to the cookie. And some of us create a strategy. These are the clever people, right? To get to the cookie. And then there's these other strategies that exist underneath the palm. So everything that can be seen by humans is out sitting on top, right? If we were to look for action-taking groups, we could find a million of them. Willpower groups, we could find lots of those. How many creatively organizing groups are there? In every area of life, there are tons. So, but, my major is from a very passive place, just like the moon moves the waters, right? It works with the ocean and the tides. This is the same way that this particular kind of dominance works. So mine is, what's underneath the hands is a spiritual strategy. This is the form of magic. This is things we can't explain, things that are under the surface, connection to the divine, the supernatural. And then on the other side of the hand, this is the very human part of masculine and feminine, the giving and the receiving that we are all doing in those masculine and feminine relationships with others, and even within our own selves. And so, but I'm from my major way of getting the cookie is very passive, is praying for the cookie. It is talking to the spirit world about the cookie, right? Like, and a lot of people, when have this personality dominance, and we can stop sharing now. I just wanted to illustrate that. But when we have this personality dominance, what happens is that we're weird. The actual word weird
Mm.
was invented to describe spiritually dominant people. And everybody thinks that we're all spiritually dominant. We're all highly spiritual. And that is true on some level. We all have all things. But not all of us have six-pack abs, right? Not all of us
Mhm.
have clean cupboards. Not all of us have willpower to stick to things and get them done, right? So you have to spend time. You have to uh, begin going to that place in order to gain that proficiency. And,
Mm.
the map is so beautiful because it basically is this magical interactive map that tells you where people's consciousness is rooted, where they're spending their time, what proficiencies they have. And even Plato, Aristotle, and Alexander the Great were hand readers because of this reason, right?
Wow.
So your
Yes.
brain,
So,
you sorry,
oh no,
directly,
you were saying
yeah,
that that was part of your struggle too, right? The weird.
yeah. So the weird is my struggle. So I got to sit in a hand class with people for 5 years with multiple teachers, and I got to look at what does a moon mean, because we all understand life through our own frame of reference, right?
Mhm.
And so we think everybody else is on the same page with us, and they're not at all on the same page because they have a different personality. And so for me, like, I didn't really understand what being a moon meant until I got to look at these other people and how they saw me, what they came to me for, what they, like, and then I was like, oh, it took years and years to understand what a moon meant, but it's essentially a personality that looks at everything from the big picture of eternity. And
Mhm.
so I felt so much alienation, so much punishment being in the herd and being this kind of person that orients this way. They actually used to say that this personality type was of no earthly good at all. That's what all the
Oh.
palms are for. Like, in other words, they're like, if you can imagine, they're not doing anything. They're not, to the rest of the world, it looks like they're doing nothing, right?
Mm.
And this is the
Wow.
zone of spiritual teacher. Think about a spiritual teacher that sits in contemplation and sits in being states, and other people come and ask them questions, right? This is the kind of personality that I was born with and developed.
Mhm.
So there was just, I mean, I felt so lonely. And that's, if you look at each zone of life has a struggle. It has, alienation, isolation, feeling like you are just the weirdest thing that ever existed, right? And I remember,
And then hiding it.
yeah, and the shame. I was in so
Mhm.
much shame because I did
Mhm.
not approach things the same way as other people. I
Mhm.
was in so much shame. If we were to look at the kind of bullying that goes on in the world, to not be scientifically dominant, which is a dominance, right?
Mhm.
The thing about science is that I know most of the truth of science intuitively, and I don't need studies to prove it to me because I just know it. And so
Mhm.
often I have this relationship with science where they say that this is right, and I say, nope, it's not. And years down the road, the science changes, and sure enough, I was right all along. And so it's been a process of learning how to trust myself and
Mhm.
learning how to value myself, even though I'm one of the most different creatures that could exist in the way that I approach life. And
Mhm.
the way that like, for those of you who've watched the X Files, think of Mulder and Scully, right? Scully's
Mhm.
this rational person, and Mulder is not. And I'm much more like Mulder. Like, my approach is like, my kids get a pimple, and let's do a past life regression. When you've got a health problem, when you've got a problem in your life, let's go do a past life regression. Let's get to the root of it. Let's figure it out. Let's pull it. Let's manifest something new, right?
Mm.
So
Yes.
so it's a very different approach. And Mary was part of my healing journey as well. She was my student, but the love and acceptance, because she was like me, that I felt with her
Mm.
was, she got me. She got me.
Aw.
And
Yes.
even my music, bringing it out, like for the longest time, everybody thought it was weird and it sounded bad, right? Not really understanding that I'm bringing forward a new genre of music, right? I'm bringing forward a
Mm.
new spirit-filled music. And yeah, but Mary, she got it. She danced, and she, like, I would just
Mm.
have to breathe the tiniest bit of these truths that I had put
Oh.
in these gorgeous songs that I made, and she would dance.
Mhm.
Her soul would dance, and she got me. And part
Oh, that's so beautiful.
the healing journey is finding other people that are like you.
Oh, I love that joining in sameness and that connection. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Mary, I agree, was just incredible. And that was very touching. Thank you for being that vulnerable with us and sharing. So I would love to talk more about exactly what you're talking about, this joining in sameness and connection. And I'd also love to hear more. Again, I was absolutely mind blown when I learned all that we can know from our hands and hand readings. I'd love to know more about that as well. So if we could share that in our next segment. We have to take another commercial break already.
Thank you.
But thank you for that beautiful sharing. We're going to go to a commercial. We'll come back and we'll pick up right where we left off with the beautiful Shira Lee Mitchell. You're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television. Thank you.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. We are here with the beautiful Shira Lee Mitchell, and she has been sharing a little bit of her own personal struggles and the some emotional pain that comes along with when you come from the perspective of the spiritual realm and the differences that it causes with you. And I just wanted to say that I really think that is part of why we tend to go into helping professions rather than really going into our own, unique spiritual selves. A lot of us will go into helping careers that aren't completely fulfilling for us. They're kind of like a socially acceptable outlet for our helping and our healing. But with time, we really kind of feel not fulfilled by that, and we move into our own uniqueness, and we gain our confidence, and we move into that. And so thank you for sharing that suffering around that. And also, I'd love to hear more about hand analysis and the miracle work that you do.
Yes, absolutely. So for me, hands has changed my life really tremendously. It is like Carl Jung wisdom. It is, you get to understand all of the different dimensions of life and all of the personalities, all of the archetypes involved in life, all of the life purposes, all of the life lessons and challenges, and become proficient. So the journey of becoming a hand analyst, which I'm one of about 13 master analysts in the world. And it's a
Wow.
process of getting to see that whole picture and study it deeply with yourself, with your peers, with your clients, with the people that you're working with. And so from a strategic standpoint, I'm a really good person to have in your pocket and to have on um, advice as an
Mm.
advisory position, because I can help reframe what's going on in your life, no matter what the problem is. So I've used this,
Yeah, I have you on speed dial.
yeah, I've used this hand analysis to, my marriage is better because of hand analysis, because the
Mm.
things that my husband and I have differences are, it's a difference of personality. And it's very easy to take on shame for being yourself, and I can dish out the shame and he can do it too, and we can get into this shame place in our personhood because we think that somebody's doing something to us. And so the rules of hands, are very simple. We believe that nobody's doing anything to you. Like, how radical is that? In other
Mm.
words, if we were to look at all the problems of life, all of the problems between countries and races and all of those things, and we were to look at them from a hand analysis perspective, we would see that everyone is just being their type, and it's not
Hmm.
personal, right? And
Wow.
and all of the pain that you're looking at in your life, most of it, not all of it, but most of the pain that you have in your relationships with others it comes from the place of different tribal values within your own personality system. So if you were to talk to my husband and say every crime that I've committed against my husband, right? And if you were to look at all those things, I violated his moral code, right? Because and
Mm.
I know it because mine is different. And every pain that I have, he has violated my moral code, because I am different than he is. And so it really, I believe that hand analysis it is something that could create healing on a mass scale for the
Mm.
entire population. It could heal between the scientists and the spiritualists. It could heal between the masculine and the feminine. It heals between the conservative and the liberal, right? Like it bridges,
Mm.
it creates a bridge of understanding, because you can see the whole picture and see, oh, guess what? They're in a completely different realm of life. They're specializing in a different field.
Mhm.
You don't know their field, so you are not the expert of that, right? And
Right, right.
so it's changed the way that I parent. There are so many
Mm.
things that I've done differently in my parenting and wish I would have done differently. I wish I would have had the map sooner,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
understanding the difference between raising uh, masculine oriented children and feminine oriented children, those are huge, huge differences, right? Like, to ask your sons how they feel every day and to orient them towards the feeling realm actually depletes their testosterone, right? It it
Mm.
and to orient them that way, and the thing is that with boys, they need a lot of testosterone to feel good. With men, and so if they're sitting
Mhm.
around feeling their feelings all the time, they have a different relationship with life and feeling, right? Totally
Mm.
different. It
Mhm.
often, the other thing that I've learned is that a lot of the problems in the world are caused by gatekeeping.
Mm.
is basically people that are not minding their own path. They are trying to help others on their path. And often they're doing so with a very masculine energy that is not healing at all to anybody involved. So that, I mean, there's once you study hands and then the hands start to teach you and the big picture starts to come together, it's like life becomes much more simple, much more straightforward. And it moves out of that narcissistic family dynamic and into a much more love dynamic, a more
Mm.
dynamic. So,
I as you're talking, I am remembering when I did go over to do the class with you and that the hand analysis class. I actually brought my husband over there with me, and my husband, he is wonderful in that he just kind of goes along with whatever I'm into and doing and talking about and everything, and he's really like kind and accepting, and it's not necessarily the way his mind works, but he believes he knows it's the way my mind works, and he appreciates that. And I had you do an analysis on his hand, and one of the things that I learned from you about him in that moment was I'm kind of like safety oriented. I'm like, oh, we shouldn't do that because you could die doing that, things like that. And one of the things that you taught me that was really helpful for our relationship, I'll never forget your words. You said that he has a big Gina, and meaning that he needs to be out there doing these things that are like, from my perspective, high risk taking. But for him, that's fulfilling to him, and he needs to do that. So he needs to be on that Harley, riding the motorcycle, and I need to not be like, be careful, wear a helmet, stop. I need to let him live in his own way, or he went skydiving, like these big, big things. And it taught me to love and accept that. And it probably saved us a lot of problems and issues in our marriage.
so he needs
Hmm.
that. Like it's a non-negotiable need for him to have because his personality, if he needs to ride a Harley, is one that, um, you know, like pressure cooks, is always doing things more efficient and better and better and better, more efficient. And if he doesn't let himself out of the box to just be free every now and then, he's just miserable,
Hmm.
right? Like it'll
Right.
go
Yeah.
other way. Really, you're not going to like those ones, right? Because they
The
go out
other
in other
ways.
risky behaviors. Yeah, in that
Hmm.
personality type. So yeah, so hands changed the way that I relate with all of the people in my life and the way that I look at life. And I got out of my own victim story by hand analysis, and then also expanded into, there's just such useful information about about life in hands. And the life less is incredibly useful because if we work
Hmm.
if we work on our handicap in life, the thing that we're not good at, the place that we're blocked, what happens is that our whole life opens up because we can just be ourselves. So that's what working on the life lesson is. And it is the most difficult journey. And it's so helpful to have guidance in that area,
Hmm.
to have someone holding your hand. And if you look at hands too, you were talking earlier about how we all um, like the way that the human system works is that we have an injury, a major trauma, and then we basically preserve and encapsulate our true genius in time, and then actually our personality sets out to become the healer that can actually hold that child, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you see this in every single hand. The hands that are big and strong and tough, they became the protectors of that, absolutely defenders of that absolutely innocent creature. And like for me, I became a healer because I needed so much healing, right? Being a moon, it means I kept a connection with the spirit world when I came. And this world was horrible to me, right? Like it was so
Hmm.
painful to to see this world and to see the things that people could do to each other. They just absolutely injured me, being the
Hmm.
way that things are done here. And so I've become the healer of that. And I'm so
Mm.
proud of who I've become in that
Aw.
to be able to, um, hold that child and to reintegrate that child and to reintegrate that genius. And if we want to start operating at a higher level as human beings, like human
Mm-hmm.
2.0, right? We can expand into the highest version of us by working on our challenging areas. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's beautiful. And like what the other gift that I've learned from hands is understanding all of the supernatural gifting, understanding the nature of the soul, the nature of the spiritual, and being able to see and sense. I don't even have to look at people's hands often. I'll sense the energy of that creature inside of them, right? and
Ah.
uh, and it's beautiful because I've been able to unlock a lot of the magic making that um, like we can take action in the world to make our planet a better place. We can align our will with that. We can do all these
Mm-hmm.
other strategies. But I really think it's amazing when we actually can use the magic wand. So, in other words, if we want to move humanity forward at Mach speed, we've got a tool and understandings. And the toolkit I've been developing is understandings of how we can do this very quickly.
Hmm.
Like, could you imagine our planet being able to go to a place that is sustainable for all of life, for all of the people to feel like they're loved and accepted, right?
Hmm.
And worthwhile? We have the tools to do that, and it's right in our own hands. So,
Wow. So amazing. So incredible. Yes. And again, I literally was blown away in learning how much was is in our hands, how much information. That's like I would love to do a whole other show just on that, what you just said. So I we do need to take a commercial break. When we come back, I would love if you would talk about the miracles that you create and how you do that, and that piece of it, that miracle piece of it in our last segment. So um, if you could do that, that would be great. We'll do that on our next segment. You're watching Talks with Tracy. We're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant. Like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy. I'm your host, Tracy Claremont, and I'm here with the beautiful Shira Lee Mitchell, who has just been sharing so much beautiful information about the spiritual realm and hands. So this is our final segment. Shira Lee, if you would share any final thoughts that you have about hand analysis, and then maybe talk a little bit about the miracle work that you do.
Yeah, so I realized I dropped a thread. I told you that nobody's doing anything to you, right? That's what we've learned from hands.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's just in their own box, right? And the
Yes.
second rule, go inside of your box, figure out who you are, find the people that are
Mm.
like you, unshame yourself, right? Then
Oh, beautiful.
the next journey in hands is learn about the people that are different than you. Get outside of your box. Start to begin to
Mm.
develop neural pathways in other areas of life. And so those three things are the three pretty basic rules of hands. And
Oh,
so yeah, so what I have done, the way that I'm moving with my life work, there's a number of things. I would love to be teaching hands again. I've kind of taken a little bit of time off from
oh,
that.
okay.
COVID interrupted, but I would love to be training people, because the more people that understand this, the better place the world is going to be. So
Mm.
love to do more training. So if you are interested, reach out to me in that. The other thing that I am doing is I'm doing the miracles, because I am, if you were to look at my hands, I am a miracle worker. I have unconditional love and a magic wand, is what my teacher told me. It's
Beautiful.
a archetype to have unconditional love, to really truly love all people, and to have a
Mm.
magic wand. In other words, a way to turn everything around very quickly. So many people
Mm.
think that AI is such a marvel that there's no way that humans, that we're pale in comparison to these machines that can do all these calculations. But the truth is that our magic one self, our spiritual self, actually is like the level of intelligence is so far beyond AI that we can't even begin to imagine. It's laughable, really,
Mm.
because it is able to grab an answer instantaneously out of thin air, and it's the right answer, and it works, and actually, if we were to look at how they created these technologies that they have brought out to the world, internet, TV, those kind of things, they actually used spiritual technologies to bring these into being. So
Mm.
the spiritual world is the origin world. It is the place where everything comes from. And certainly we can sit and move rocks up mountains, or we can simply change the matter that creates the fabric of reality, right? And this is what we can
Mm.
do with our spiritual selves. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to take action and do all the other things that everybody's been doing since the beginning of time. But there is another way that we can do it. And if we join our power together, because we're all given a unit of power, some of us have more power than others because of the way we're wired up. Some of us have
Mm.
more doubt, and some of us have more faith, right? And, men typically have more doubt, right? Like you say, your husband doesn't understand a lot of the spiritual things. It's because that's not the thing he's specializing here in life. He's specializing in something different. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing is with this is that we can learn to do miracles and create miracles for our lives. So it's just basically I teach a toolbox of strategies that you can do to evoke the supernatural change, right? And
Mm.
it's really amazing. I mean, the kind of things that people bring to me. They bring, oh, I need to get my house through the city, and it seems impossible. And I need to find a builder, and that seems impossible too. Or I'm taking on the courts because they're doing something unlawful and unrighteous, right? And
Mm.
as a world, we've got to be willing to take on everything that isn't in alignment with the highest good of everyone, right?
Mm.
So so basically, there's tools that we can do. We can actually go and so a big part of my work is spiritual exploration, because that's who I am, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
how I do things. I mean, I am when I'm laying in bed at night, I am journeying to other places to get answers. And we can either just do everything the hard way and reinvent the systems a million times and try to exalt ourselves against what's here, and think that we can totally understand it from inside a small box like science is trying to do, or we can actually work with science, can work with spirituality, and we can actually bring forward something much more quick, because there is a place where all of this has already been figured out. And if we
Wow,
were
that is That is beautiful and amazing. So now, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you for assistance like this, how do they reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is probably Facebook. I'm on Facebook a
Okay.
lot, so it's Shirley Mitchell on Facebook. You can also follow and ask questions on my public page, which is Shirley. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm
Okay.
on X. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not super active on all these. Again, it's like, trying
Right.
to juggle a bunch of things, but I will create a system here at some point to be more active on all of those. If you understand too that I'm kind of a wise woman, a hermit personality that is figuring stuff out in my own beings, and I'm just in the process of emerging from my cocoon. So, contacting me on Facebook is great. Any of those other platforms, I do get notifications, and you can also email me at shiralee@icloud.com. And
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That is beautiful, and I look forward to having you on for more episodes because there's so much to talk about, and I have enjoyed speaking to you so much, and it's gone so fast. There's so much more to explore. I'd love to hear about hypnotherapy and past life regression and life between lives, all of that. So we have a lot more to talk about, and I just want to welcome you back in the future. So, if anybody would like to get a hold of me, I can be reached on my via email, hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com. I do hypnotherapy, life coaching, whatnot, or if you just want to give me some feedback about the show, whatever you'd like to do, I'd love to hear from you. So next week, thank you again, Shirley. Next week on Talks with Tracy, we are going to be talking to Mark Johnson. He is a hypnotherapist, and he's actually the hypnotherapist that I received my initial training in hypnotherapy from. And he is the one who did hypnotherapy with me that was actually life-changing for me and really helped me to come to this place where I am here with all of you today. So that will be next Thursday. So please join me for that. Join Mark and I. And thank you so much, Shirley. This has been so much fun talking to you. So you've been watching Talks with Tracy with me, your host, Tracy Claremont. Thank you so much for joining us here on Bold Brave Television Network. And until next week, I'll see you later.
This has been Talks with Tracy. Join us each week as Tracy and her guests will come together and realize that underneath it all, we are all the same and never alone. So join us each week and let Talks with Tracy be your safe place to land in your healing journey. Right here, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.